All right, so we said we're going to go we already saw how to update the client, yes, and we could have just cached all these new courses on the client side, and at some point perhaps we could have provided a button that says refresh or synchronize or something, right? And or save. There's a save button or something, and then at that save button we would take all those 3 or 4 or 5 courses we've created. And on a big post, we would take all those 4 courses or 5 or whatever, and we would send them all to the server to be inserted into a database. Yes, we could have done that, right? Instead, and that takes into consideration that you are being optimistic that the user is not going to all of a sudden refresh the client, and you will lose all that work that you've worked on, and it's not saved anywhere. Or it could also be that you are relying on another solution. Maybe you're storing in a local cached environment, right? And or maybe you are making sure that if you are refreshing the page, you notify the server that you have unsaved changes, yes? And then ask them, do you want me to save now? Yes? So those are all good alternatives. Okay, but this other alternative that I'm going to present now, it's a more pessimistic approach, but it's safer. It's safer in that I'm going to first make sure that the server knows about this. It's saved, and then I'll update the user interface accordingly. All right. So what we're going to do is that instead of the component immediately changing the state. Instead of doing that, it's going to first notify the server. It's going to use the service. It's going to say this dot course service dot create course. Right? I'm first going to go and tell the server that there's a brand new course, right? And I'm going to pass in the this state dot new course. That's the object. Right? That's the object that I have. I have the title in there, yes? Right? And the server is going to respond to me with a promise saying, yep, thank you. I know I have it. Thank you for the new course. And here I can either update my user interface. Right? Now it's safe to update my user interface if the server let us know that we know about this new course. Okay? But we'll do that in a minute. Right? So here maybe we'll do console, and this is maybe it'll respond with a brand new course that it just inserted, and we'll just do a console log the new course. How's that? Okay, so hopefully the server will come back and say, thank you, I've inserted the course, and here it is with its primary key and whatnot. Yes? Okay. All right, so this doesn't exist actually in the service, so let's implement that. So on the service side, let's implement that. So here's my create course. It's going to receive as an argument the course object, right? And we're going to do the same thing we did earlier. We're going to do a fetch, right? But this time we're going to do a post. We're going to do a post, right? Not a get. We're going to do the type is going to be be a post. We're going to stringify the new course, so this will be in the body. We'll pass in JSON.stringify, and we'll pass in the course object. Okay. Anything else we need? Let's see. We need to say that the content type of the headers is content type is application /JSON. Make sure you spell that right. A lot of folks have come to me that this wasn't working. It was misspelled somewhere in here. What else do we need? I think that's it, right? Oh, is it method or type? Must be method, I guess. All right, so let's look at that. Let's try it out again. Let's refresh, and let's do an add. All right, so look, it looks like it went out to the server. We can see the network here. It says 403. 403 says that it's an invalid course. meaning that I tried to do a. So what happens here is that the way the browser checks to see if the server is going to accept the cross origin. What first it does is that there's two queries. The first query is what is referred to as the pre-flight query. Right? And the pre-flight query, it goes out, and notice that it's not a post, not a get. Right? It's an options. Right? Notice that the request method is not a get, it's not a post, it's not a put, it's not a delete. It's an options. You see that? It's asking the server, hey server, what are the options? What are you accepting? Okay, and the server, typically it responds, well, I accept a get, I accept a post, I accept put, I accept delete, I accept all these methods. Here it's responding outright, no, you're trying to post, I do not accept any posts. Okay, so let's go on to the server and actually implement a post. So let's implement a post here. We'll say, let's accept here a post mapping to the same exact URL, API course, and here is going to be a public. It's going to return the new course that it inserts into the database, and this is going to be a create course. Also, notice the naming convention. I'm using create course all throughout. Right? I used it in the component. I used it in the service. I'm using it again here in the in our course service, right? So that we keep it straight. Yes. And here we're going to accept as argument an instance of the course, hopefully parsed from the body of the request. So this will be from the request body. Okay. And let's import these. So request body and post mapping. Let's import those two. And what we're going to do is that we're going to use the course repository to save this brand new course that is coming in from the client. So course repository, we're going to save this new course, and presumably that's going to do an insert into a database, and we're going to return this brand new course that we have just inserted into a database. Yes? All right. All right. So let's do that. Let's try it out. Let's restart the server. Maybe. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the client. Let's refresh. Hopefully all right. The three courses are there. All right. So let's try it again. So we'll do a CS 1800 and we'll say add. Okay. So notice that this time it did not complain, but notice that we still have the two queries. The first query, again, is still options. Before we were getting a 4 or 3 saying, nope, post is not allowed. We were getting 4 or 3 saying post is not allowed. In this case is coming back saying, yeah, it's okay. The 200 is good. And the second one is the actual post. Right? So this is where it's referred to as the pre-flight query, and this is the actual post. And notice that what's coming back from the server is the fourth course that we're inserting there. Notice it has an ID of 4. But notice that the client did not update, right? We would need to do a refresh, and notice that the CS 1800 would be there, right? So kind of there's a disconnect now, right? The server is up to date, but now the client is behind, right? It's stale. But that's safer, right? That's much safer than the client showing you something that is not true. Okay? I would prefer, and it's most commonly when I'm booking a flight or a hotel, it might tell me, hey, there's 2 rooms left or whatever, and when I'm about to purchase, it says, sorry, I'm out of time, right? So that's a more common case, right, where the server is up to date, right? It's just that you might be looking at a stale version of the data. That's much safer than the other way around. Okay, so what we'd like to be able to do is actually these two folks to be always synchronized. Yes. So again, here there are 2 techniques. We could right here on the client side, when we went on our controller, on our function here, because it came back as successful, We could here just update the state and say, it was successful. I'm going to render this new course. Now I can push it to my array, and that would be a safe bet. The absolute safe bet would be to go back to the server and say, give me the very, very latest, right? Because it could be that not just me added any information. It could have been that other folks might be adding other information, right? So to make sure that I'm always up to date, not only with what I'm doing locally, but what other folks are doing remotely, adding other courses and whatnot. And I'll see the courses that I add, and I'll see the courses that you've added as well, right? Let's go out to the server again and fetch all the courses, not only the one I just added, but all the courses that other folks might have added. Okay. So to do that, we could basically do this same query here, and this will give me a chance to talk about something else. Here we have this course here. We just received. This is the course that we just added. Yes, this is the response that we just added. Okay, and what we'd like to be able to do here is go back to the server and say, give me all the latest courses, not just mine, because other folks might have added their own. So we'd like to do this over here. We'd like to do something like this. Where are we? Right here. This again. Okay. So let's embed this right here. Okay. There we go. So this state is courses. So let's try it out again. Let's add a new one. This oops. So this might be CS 3200. Add course. Notice that it shows immediately, right? And the reason is that the first one is a post, and it creates it. But the second one is a second query. Hey, give me all of them again, right? That includes the one that I just added, plus whatever else other faculty might have added would be shown here, right? All going in the same database, right? So 3200 or 4500. Right, it's showing it immediately. But I wanted to point out is that notice how this syntax is becoming harder and harder to read, right? Especially when you have several of these queries that go out, right? These are all asynchronous queries, yes? The first query is to insert. The second query is to to retrieve the list of courses, yes? And because they're asynchronous, there's no guarantee. If I would have done this, the alternative would have been this. I could have done this, right? I could have done. Let me do this query here. This was a console, right? I could have done this console.log course, and this would have been perfectly fine. I could have done this. See that? Right? I do the post that inserts the course, and then afterwards I'd go and retrieve the list of courses, and this will work most of the times. Okay, if I'm not sure I could even make it fail. So CS 1100. Okay, let me refresh. CS 1100. Add. Okay, it worked this time. But what we've added here is referred to as a race condition. All right, there's a race condition of these two. Right, they're both asynchronous, and JavaScript will not stop. So this is an asynchronous call, meaning JavaScript will give this to Ajax, right, and say to the browser, and the browser says, go ahead and do this, right, and then it will also do the same thing here, and we'll give it to the browser and say, go ahead and go fetch the courses. Now these two are racing against each other, and there's no guarantee which one will win. All right, it might be that 50% of the time it actually happens in this order. But sometimes, the other 50% of the times, it might be that you first retrieve the list of courses before your new course has been inserted, okay? Because these are asynchronous, right? The only way to guarantee that the sequence is the sequence that you want is to do this one over here. Embedded in this one. That only when the first one comes back successfully, then, oh no, what'd I do? Cut. Okay, now I'm guaranteed. Now the sequence is guaranteed, right? That I don't fetch for the entire list of courses up until I am guaranteed that the old course has been inserted. Do you see that? Okay. But this introduces a really, really ugly syntax, right? And this is not the only time we're going to do this, right? Many, many times we're going to have to do lots and lots of things that have to happen in a particular sequence, right? But each one of them is asynchronous, right? So I'll have to hit this API, and if that API says it's okay, then I'll hit this other API. If this API says it's okay, then I'll hit this other API. And if that API says okay, and I have to do it in that particular order. Yes? And what happens here is that, look what happens. If I have 3 of these, or 4, notice what's happening. These are all becoming all skewed to the right-hand side. See that? Right, so it's becoming really ugly and really hard to read. Okay? And that's one of the reasons they came up with this syntax, the then syntax. Okay? The then syntax was designed to deal with this asynchronous calls, but to try and make it look as if they were synchronous, so that the syntax looks like it's synchronous, but really internally it's all asynchronous. So let me show you. A nicer way to write the same exact thing is to do the following. You can return, right, this inner one, and so what this would do is this allows you to now move this. Allows you to move this then. Allows you to move it down here. Return. Okay, I don't need this return. I don't need that. I think this could live in the same line. There we go. And this could live up here. See that? All right, so this is a little bit cleaner. I don't need that either. And I don't need that. There we go. Okay, so that's a little cleaner, right? Where there's no need so especially works really nice with the new ES6 syntax, right? Because that last one is already a return. See that? Right? So it reads almost as if, okay, you do this, and then you do this, and then you do that. It's almost as if it were a synchronous syntax, even though, right, these are all asynchronous. All right? Yeah. So the then syntax works really, really nice with the new ES6 syntax. Okay, and this still works the same way. Everybody okay? All right, awesome.